Okay, this is gonna be a short rant, hopefully, about everything I know about chess and what I would do for the different roles, right? And how the fight should go and how we should be doing it. Um, I think the first thing to say is where is the line of the board, right? Like, so you know that if you're off the board, hopefully, you do 90% reduced damage. This line, this golden line around the edge, is the edge of the board. That is the edge. This is still counting as being on the board. I can stand here and still be counted as standing on the board, which is very nice. Healing is not affected by being on the board or not, so you are free to leave the board if you need to heal. Doesn't do anything, doesn't affect you in any way. Of course, there's places that's better to stand than others, right? Because if you're too far off, you can bow, shit like that. But let's make sure that everyone understands what mechanics go out doing the different parts of the raid. So, the first phase, there is nothing going on except for Void Zone and the Shadow Volley. That's it. Nothing else is happening. The Knight doesn't even cleave. The what is it called? The Knight doesn't cleave. The Rook charges and stuns. That's about it. The Bishop it casts in Powered Shadow Bolt if you're within 15 yards of it. But again, Bishop is not going to be of your concern. You're not going to be tanking Bishop. If you are tanking Bishop, you have my condolences. If you're tanking the Knight, you also know that you need to keep him away from people, but that's about it. The only thing you can be doing, don't have the Knight and the King, or the Knight and the Bishop and the Knight and the Rook close to each other. The reason you don't want to have them close to each other is because the Knight has a bonus of 50% attack speed and casting speed to whatever he's near, right? So, sometimes things get nasty, right? So you try to keep him in the bottom corner at the beginning. The Knight tank knows what to do, I'm not gonna need to worry about explaining that. What I need to worry about is when people move off the board, right? So, first of all, if we're about to kill something, don't be standing here. Like, I see having to tell people this every time when the fucking boss is around, I don't know, 10, 15%, people are still standing here. Like, this is as far as you can fucking get from safety. Please don't stand here, right? If you are a caster or a healer, you are either on this side of the board, right? And you're not standing here, you're standing here. This is where you're standing, right? And you already know where you're gonna hide, right? So, in this case, I would hide behind this pillar, right? And that would be something like this, right? That seems good, right? Cool. So, I know that this corner of this square is safe. Cool. This is where I'm gonna go. That I don't even need to look there, right? I know where I can go to stay be safe. So, we fight, we cast, we do whatever it is we're doing. The thing dies, I move here and I stop here. I don't need to look behind me. I already know I'm safe. I'm just gonna be good. I'm just golden, right? I'm just safe. I don't need to worry about anything. I know where I can go and I know where I'm gonna be safe. And it's different for every fight, of course, right? Every pillar has a different angle. I think like I have a few spots that I like to think about. I know that this is safe. This is really stupid, but this is safe. I used to do this in the start. Then also I think that the square here is, and then I think up here it's this statue. Yeah, right. It's behind this statue in this corner. So there's a bunch of places to save, and please utilize the space, right? So there's gonna be a void zone here because there is gonna be, especially here, right? Like there's gonna be here and there's gonna be here. There's gonna be a void zone because 15 people have moved off the board early and they drop a void zone, right? It's really fucking simple. You can't die in a fucking void zone. You have 3 seconds. The thing is big and it's easy to see. It does 1,900 damage or so. Just backpedal, right? This is just as good as the other spot, right? One of my favorite pillars is this one, but that's for other reasons. But it's basically you can heal the board from here and you don't even have to hide. And when you get to phase 3, you don't take damage from the queen. Anyways, enough ranting about the hiding mechanic. You all understand that it doesn't matter where you're standing. This looks like I'm in line of sight, but I'm not, right? Like, doesn't matter that I can see it here. I'm still not in line of sight. If you can hit it, it can hit you. That's just how the game works. It's not like you have a body of a size. You're just a pixel in the center of your character. That's it. Anyways, what else is there? Okay, cool. So phase 1, that's about all this going on, right? Phase 2 starts. We will probably have a bunch of pawns. We clear the pawns, so we have a fresh start. Now mind control starts going out, right? The queen is gonna spawn. The queen is gonna be in this square. She's gonna be right here. And she's gonna have the bow mechanic, right? So slash bow. You step into this square, you bow to her. You should be able to get to her almost from anywhere in the board. I would suggest against being all the way in the back if you don't have a way to gap close, right? Like when I say gap close, I don't mean that you actually like have a sprint or something like that. I just mean you need to have a way out of the fucking slow, right? So in my case, that would be Hand of Freedom. Hand of Freedom will do it, and I'll be able to close this, right? It takes me, as you could see from the Hand of Freedom, about 5 seconds to get here. The thing lasts 10 seconds, so you should be able to get there from anywhere on the board, roughly, without too much trouble if you start running it straight away, and with still having, even if you're slow, you still have 2 or 3 seconds to spare. We don't really call them out. We shouldn't need to call them out. You should have an add-on that warns you about it. I think, personally, I think I use this, right? So, let's see, Broken Heart, this one, right? This is why I have to go bow. Like, I'm not at any point thinking, I wonder what that is. Like, I know that this is gonna kill me if I don't fucking get this off. So this is the next thing I do. I don't care if I'm tanking, I don't care if I'm fucking doing anything, I'm letting someone else know. But you don't get to die to the bow mechanic. You should be very easy to understand that you have it. Right? Um, I'll link the add-on if someone wants it. You can always ask for it. Cool. Bow mechanic. Shadow Ball volleys are going out. Mind controls are going out. I guess the mind control is important, right? That's why we have PvP trinket. Unless you are undead, unless you're paladin, then you don't need it because it's a charm and you can get it off. You can double dip and take it as a paladin. I wouldn't necessarily go for 2. I think it's overkill. It's nice having trinket, right? But it's not a necessity. It's way more important that you're not killing someone, especially if like you're big DPS, like a warrior or mage, something that's gonna one-shot someone if you don't get controlled. Also, anyone else, right? You don't need to kill them, like if you're not assigned to them, but you can fear them and you can CC them. Someone running around feared for 15 seconds isn't gonna do anything. Yeah, they're annoying that there's like, but they're not gonna do anything. You can also sheep them and just leave them where they are. They can't get killed by the Holy Nova, so they're completely safe as long as they CC'd. Um, we will normally have people to take them out, right? So the way we like to do it is having someone with a dot do it, because you want as little damage as possible and preferably something they can't crit, right? You want to get them to around 25% and then you just want to let the game tick. It takes a few seconds for it to tick. And then they come out automatically. What else is there? There is doing the second phase. The knight starts cleaving. He starts having the stupid armor pen thing going on. I can't remember what it's called, but he armor pens the tank. But again, not something you need to worry about. Only thing you need to worry about is don't stand in void zones. Mainly because of all the melee's gonna be bunched up in one big group, so it's really difficult to see. Also make sure that you know where you're going, right? Like you need to know where you're hiding before you're hiding. Like you need to know that, okay, cool, they'll say the bishop is here, you're fighting this. I say get ready to hide, right? That goes for all the people who feel a little slow, who don't know this shit, who is going to need to a little bit of extra time they can go then. Then I say melee get out when there's like 5-10% left. They start running out. You should be able to know that this is just safe. Like this is safety. This is what safety looks like, right? That you don't have to look behind you. Like the most important thing that I think a lot of people fucking don't understand is that most people are gonna do this, right? And the problem is they're gonna run in, they're gonna do this, and then they're gonna start adjusting. And that's when you die, right? It's when you're adjusting. Just know, cool, I can just stand between these two pillars and I'm safe. This is safety, this is happiness, this is where I can be, right? And go again, right? Here, right? Go here, safety. Let's see if it's actually safety. Yeah, look. Perfect, right? So between this and this, safety. It's about knowing where to go. Yeah, you can't know every single spot. Like, I don't know every single spot. But you just need to know a few. Like, a few places where you can always go. My two favorites are the two pillars in front, but it's a favor for many others. But it does have going for it that you can just run to this one, right? Like this is just as safe as being than the other one. I think that's the beautiful thing about this. This is why I like this, because there's a lot of room. And seldom, yeah, there's normally a void zone here, but I don't give a shit because I stand here, right? So it's not gonna interfere with anything. Okay, what else is there? Then I guess we're getting to phase 3, right? Because nothing else has really happened. We all done the biomechanic. We all dealt with what we should. Of course, if you all watch this, at this point we'll still be 40 people alive. I don't know. Maybe Caulfield killed himself to something, but other than that, we're gonna be great, right? And then we're gonna have to get to the last phase, right? And that's where the Ghastly Horseman comes out. And this is where I killed myself last week like a fucking pleb. But I actually got to safety and then I killed myself. But that's not the idea, right? The idea is that I pick up the Ghastly Horseman because the Ghastly Horseman spawns when the bishop dies. He doesn't spawn like I think he spawns maybe a second or two after the bishop dies. So mid Nova he spawns, right? So again, off tanks. There might actually be some off tanks who need to watch this. If you aren't actively on the pond, maybe you tank the rook at the start. Maybe you a spare tank. Get to this side, right? Get to the side where the knight is gonna be, and then hide, and then stay with the healer for the knight, right? You're not gonna take any damage because the bishop has just died, so there's no shadow damage going up. But you will take damage from the Ghastly Horseman, but we want to pick up the Ghastly Horseman as possible, fast as possible, right? Ghastly Horseman gets treated like all the other little mobs here, right? The pawns and the other stuff. You make sure that it's tanked and you make sure that it's pointing away from everyone else. I don't know if the Ghastly, I'm pretty sure the Ghastly cleaves. The Ghastly at least does shadow damage. I know that much. And I know the pawns cleave. But the pawns, we always try to keep them below 2, right? Like, helpfully they're all dead, but if there's 2, it's not the end of the world. But if there's 3, that's too many, right? And you don't really lose to the pawns being like 1 the whole fight, but you kind of lose to it being 2 or 3. And the reason you lose to them is not because they kill anyone. They're not going to kill anyone. They're going to do 400 damage in a cleave to to a full warrior to a full warrior fully biscuit in DPS set. They're going to hit somewhere between 400 and 500 damage on their cleave, which is not a lot against a 7.5k target. Like any healer can heal that up. The problem is he's hitting 15 people and he's hitting 15 people for 4 minutes straight, right? That's where the damage comes from. It's not damage to the melee that kills the melee. It's damage to the raid's mana pool, right? So that's why you want to have them dead. Anyways, we get to this point, we make sure that everything is gonna die. Nothing else happens, right? The knight just has to get. It's just the tank that experience something new. Everyone else is taking a little less damage because there's no more Shadow Ball Volley going out. There is going to be more damage, but that's gonna be the not the Queen. I can't remember. It's called the Queen's Fury or whatever. It's like a tick. It's like a constant shadow tick, and this I haven't figured out yet why it scales up, but I know it scales up. I think it scales up with the life on the knight. It's either scales up with the life of the knight or it scales up with the time of the fight. I think it's the life of the knight. So the more damage you do to the knight, the more damage that does. Anyways, that you can hide from. You can hide from the queen, right? It doesn't need to be the king necessarily, but let's say there's the queen and the king, right? So if you stand here, you're pretty safe, right? You're pretty safe from both of them. So if you're melee or your caster or anything that's getting really fucking low and it doesn't seem that any healing is incoming, go off the board, hide, heal yourself up, use a bandage, fucking bitch to a healer or something like that, or just stay out until we all get tranquility or whatever. But don't let yourself die. Don't just stand on the board and just stand there like a fucking frog getting cooked slowly, right? Don't get yourself boiled and just die. Move out. Do something to preserve your life. It's another thing about this fight. Again, another mechanic where on this fight you only die from from the fury from the lady, right? So if you aren't getting the bow mechanic, there's no way to die in this fight. I think a lot of people don't fucking understand when I say there's no way to die in these fights. It really means there is no way to die in these fights. Like 98% of all deaths we have in our raids are fucking self-inflicted damage, right? Which is annoying as fuck. Um, I yeah, and I am also one of those people. Like every person is gonna fuck it up, but it is sad to see when it happens to many people, right? We should all try to mitigate it, right? Anyways, I think that's it. I don't think there's much else. When you run in on the king, you can shatter pot if you want, but it shouldn't be a necessity. Um, at that point, we're pretty much done, right? And if you can't run in because you're 10 health, don't run out. Just stay hidden. There's nothing wrong with staying hidden. Like, you just don't die. Just don't waste everyone's time by making yourself someone who needs to be rest. If you have fucking 400 health, stay out. You did your job. You survived the three first phases. Let someone who got more healed or someone who had a slightly lucky RNG on the fucking chain heal bounce, let him go finish the fight. You done your job. You lived to the end. I don't care how much damage you do to the knight, to the king. If it's like last effort, right, and we're all about to die, sure, go for it, right? But don't kill yourself unnecessarily. There's no point in it. Anyways. What else does that's rant about? Oh yeah, last little secret I guess that we kind of found out is if you have the King's Bow mechanic and the Holy Nova is going out, whatever time there's left on the Holy Nova, whatever time there's left on your bow, if your bow is going to end before the King's Fury, you need to do your best to try and click it off, a bow, and then get off the board, or you need to bubble or ice block, unlikely anymore with frost, but you get the idea, right? There's only so many ways you can survive it. As a warrior, you can last stand, shield, wall, whatever it takes, but there's only so many ways to survive that damage. The most likely way that you're gonna survive this is because also the timing is that the Holy Nova is gonna go out before your Fury rocks off. You can see the debuff, so you have a timer. You have a good idea of when I'm about to die, and then you can look at the king. You wait for the Nova goes out, the second the Nova goes out, you bow, right? That's how you do it. Because if you do that, you will not take any damage. Like the Broken Heart, or whatever it's called, Dark Subservience, will keep you safe from the Holy Nova. So that's one way to get around that little conundrum, right? I hear a lot of people say, ah, fuck, it's a terrible time to bow. If you just got it, when the Holy Nova starts, it's the perfect time. It couldn't be better. You got a front row seat to beat the ass, right? Like to beat his ass. You can absolutely pummel him, right? Because you get to stand here, you're not taking any fucking damage, and you can bow as soon as it is and then slap him in the face. Right? So, lucky you, right? Way to get a little front row seat and getting to be the fucking VIP who gets to hit the king first. Um, I don't think there's anything else, right? But please reach out if you have any questions. I have no idea if anyone's actually gonna watch this, but this was just me ranting for as long as I could about chest because I really want to see the death toll in general go down. If you have any fucking questions, please ask, and I will try to answer the question of how her damage ramps up in phase 3. I think it's related to the knight's health. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it's time based. But generally it ramps up, so if you are going to use a shadow pot, don't use it at the beginning, use it at the end, right? Because that's when it hurts. I think that's it. Good luck on your next chest attempt, and yeah, have a wonderful week. Bye.